Today we are going to talk about American Revolution. Motivation of colonization. Um, why they go colonization is for some reasons. Well, economic motivators. Economic consideration were undoubtedly the most effective in promoting colonization, and Britain looked to the colonized as a market for British goods, source for raw material, and a producer of goods for trade, and all commerce was to be conducted through Britain. And religious motivates. The Protestant Reformation gave rise to dissenting sects who aggressively sold township according to their own idea instead of conforming to the religious uniformity required by the Anglican Church. Social and political motivates. English government also wants to weaken Spain by establishing military and naval outposts. And we have 13 original colonies. First, New England colonies: Plymouth, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and middle colonies: New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, and southern colonies: Virginia, Maryland, the Carolinas, and Georgia. Then they established the Navigation Act of 1651. The Navigation Act passed because it was to ensure that only England benefits from colonial trade. And the two ways that Navigation Act regulated trade is: first, only things could go England and the colonies. Second, only certain products could be shipped to England. And the British benefit is they become a pros- uh, prosperous shipbuilding center, and there were many new jobs. And American colonies' benefit is they don't have to compete with foreign merchants. The colonies dislike the Navigation Act is because, in their opinion, the law mostly favored the in England merchants. That is also called the mercantilism. French and Indian War. The French and Indian War, also called the Seven Years' War, was fought between England and France for control of certain lands in North America. And the war lasted between 1754 and 1763. George III. The new king during the Seven Years' War, George III and his prime minister George Grenville both believed that the colonies should help pay the huge debt that current by financing the war. They said that the colonists were the beneficiaries of the war. However, the colonists believed the debt was paid in full by providing all of the soldiers for war. Um, Proclamation of 1763. This proclamation forbid all residents go past the line that join along the Appalachian Mountains. People who already settled were really angry because they were required to move to eastern side. Sugar Act. This is a modified version of Sugar Act, and Molasses Act, which was about to expire, was passed by government. And the response of this act is because the response of this is 50 letters were delivered to Parliament, and the British, any citizen who reported friends and their neighbors who were smuggling would be shared with taxes and policies and charge also. Stamp Act. Stamp Act required all legal documents to bear a tax stamp that could only be purchased from official tax collector. Wills, bills of sale, playing cards. British Prime Minister offered to repeal the tax after massive protest if another form of revenue could be found. And colonial legislature and the towns declared the tax unlawful. And Boston Massacre. It happened in March 6, 1770. Many taxes against the colonists followed by British soldiers in their town. The colonists start to call the British soldier names like lobsters and redcoats. The soldier become angry and starts destroying colonist property. Tea Act. The price of tea is reduced by eliminating the American merchants from shipping tea to the colonies. Why did the British pass this law? The first reason is to make the colonists happy with the price so they will pay the tax. Second, the East India Company will make more profits. And third, to pay off French and Indian war debt. Boston Tea Party. In December 1773, over 5,000 people gathered with the Sons of Liberty voiced their dissatisfaction over the taxation. There were 3 British ships and Greenfin wharves in the Boston harbor. The first one is Dartmouth, the second one is Eleanor, and the third one is Beaver. Dock workers refused to unload the ship. Threw 342 containers filled with tea into ocean, and 90 pounds of tea worth 10,000 pounds. British suffered financial loss. Common Sense. Thomas Paine wrote a 48 pages pamphlet called The Common Sense in 1775 to 1776. Thomas Paine hopes of convincing public for a revolution so they can have independence. And there's a 4th section. Government can exist because people do bad things. The monarchy is not our protector, it's our enemies. Reconciliation means ruin. We are already at war. We need to build a navy. The prospect of inaction is terrifying. Enlightenment thinker that influenced the American Revolution. The idea of Enlightenment thinker had a significant influence on the philosophical basis of the American Revolution. Nature rights. John Locke is well known for claiming every human has certain rights not given to them by the law of society. Montesquieu, separation of powers, checks and balance, judicial, legislative, and executive. Revolution. Voltaire wrote against the intolerance, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Declaration of Independence. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence took Thomas Jefferson 17 days to write it. July 2nd, the Second Continental Congress voted for independence, and July 4th, Declaration approved and signed. And the American colonies finally declared their independence from England, and it was the first step in the creation of a new nation. Revolutionary War. British advantages is well-equipped and disciplined and strongest navy, and American advantages is desire to win, fighting for their own cause, and had a military with fighting style of hiding behind rocks and trees, knew the land, shortcuts, problem areas, and where to hide. Outstanding leadership of George Washington, and reason to fight is for their home state and defend their family. Treaty of Paris. Work on Treaty of Paris began in April 1782. Richard Oswald represented the British at the meeting. Benjamin Franklin represented the United States. The British had to accept American independence, and all British soldiers must leave America. And Franklin had said, Americans might feel better towards the British if they paid for those towns that were destroyed in the war. And finally, um, the British asked that loyalists who chose to remain in the United States be treated fairly. And the result is the Treaty of Paris named the United States as a new nation and described its borders. And America would reach to Florida in the south, Canada in the north, and the Mississippi River in the west. And no regards was given to Native American living in the Ohio River Valley. Article of Confederation. This document, the nation's first constitution, was adopted by the Second Continental Congress in 1781 during the Revolution, and the document was limited because states held most of the power and Congress lacked of power to tax, regulate trade, or control coinage, replaced by Constitution of the United States in 1789. Constitution and why it was adopted. The United States Constitution is the supreme law of the United States of America. The Constitution had 7 articles. The first 3 is the federal government is divided into 3 branches. The legislative consisting of bicameral Congress, and the executive consisting of president and the judicial, and consisting of finally the judicial consisting of the Supreme Court and the other federal courts. And Article 4, Article 5, and 6 describing the rights and responsibility of state government and of the states in relationship to the federal government. Article 7 established the procedure subsequently used by the 13 states to ratify it. And the Sons of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty was an organization that was created in the 13 colonies. The secret society was formed to protect the rights of colonists and to fight taxation by British government. And the Sons of Liberty popularized the use of tar and feathering to punish and against government official starting in 1767. And finally, we have election of Washington. The Electoral College unanimously elected Washington as the first president in 1789 and again in 1792. In this election, the method for selecting elector was decided by each state legislature, by public votes in some states, and by legislative selection in others. Each elector was given 2 votes for cast of president. Washington received the support of every one of the electors, each of whom cast one of the 2 ballots for him, and John Adams, who received 34 votes, was the runner-up and was elected vice president. Washington was inaugurated on April 13, 1789, taking the first presidential oath of office on the balcony of Federal Hall in New York City.